What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Talking Halos. I'm your host today, Jared Timms, and I'm joined alongside my co-host, my partners in crime, Nate Green and Derek Ciapola. Derek, how'd I do?
Living the dream. Almost there, almost to the very end of the first semester in school. So I'm ready for some break. And hopefully that means some more fun watching some hot stove, maybe.
It's a little slow. It's a little bit slow right now. I'll say that. Nate, how you doing?
Doing well, just like everyone else, waiting for something to happen.
All right, don't yell at me there. Don't yell at me there, guy. All right. So, guys, just want to thank everybody so much for watching and listening to this podcast here at Talking Halos. You can go ahead and follow us on all our social medias, X, since it's now X, Instagram, and Facebook. Follow us, or actually don't follow us. You can subscribe to us at anywhere you want to listen to us. If you're listening to us, if you're watching us, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, as they say on YouTube. Go ahead and follow us on all our follow. Derek, I am
Man,
so
you're having a rough one today.
I am intimidated right now that I'm running this with you here, so I am losing it right now. I swear, for those who watch this daily, you know I'm not this bad at this, but give me a second here. You can follow me on X at Jared_Timms, Nate at NateGreen34, Derek at D Ciapola. Did I get it right, Derek? I think it's
You
D
did.
Ciapola. Perfect. You guys, give us
You
1
did.
second. All right, let's get it rolling here. Fellas, I got a question for you. I asked this on Twitter. I'm going to ask you guys here. I gave it four options. Who would you rather sign? And those who are watching us on YouTube, play along as well. Would you rather sign Cody Bellinger or Yamamoto? Would you rather sign B, Blake Snell and Jorge Soler? Would you rather sign C, Imanaga and Teoscar Hernandez? Or would you rather sign D, JD Martinez, Jordan Hicks, and Tim Anderson? You got
Hold on
four
a minute.
different categories
So
there.
you're talking about each, we could choose a combo,
You
or are
You
so
we
get
saying one versus the other?
A, A, B, C, or D on that category on all those right
What
there.
was that again?
A is Cody Bellinger or Yasunobu Yamamoto.
That's
B,
the only or.
that's
Everything
the
else
only
is
or. Everything else. So you
plus.
have to pick one of those two guys. B is Blake Snell and Jorge Soler. C is I don't know the kid's name. Yeah, Imanaga, I believe he's the lefty
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
Japan that's coming over. And Teoscar Hernandez, the DH outfielder for the Mariners, or D, JD Martinez, Jordan Hicks,
I'm so
and
sorry.
Tim Anderson. So you got
Those are
quite a few different answers there. Derek, I'll let you think about it because you're losing
My
yourself.
my everything just went crazy here. Right? This has been like a podcast of crap in terms of everything happened the first 5 minutes. Sorry, folks, it's not our usual way of doing things. So go, Nate.
Nate, take it. I'll let you handle this here.
Yeah, A for me. I think Cody Bellinger makes this lineup so much better. They need Cody Bellinger. They need someone in the middle of the order. I don't think Yamamoto is even possible right now with the Mets and Yankees and Dodgers and everyone. Obviously, he's still possible, but it just feels like the Angels are probably eighth, ninth, 10th on this on Yamamoto's list, so it doesn't feel real possible. I think you might be able to get a steal with Cody Bellinger. I do. I think right now the market is really low. There's not too many. I don't see too many teams in on Cody Bellinger. What Angels and you could say Cubs maybe, but like
Well, what about the rumors that he's asking for 200 mil? Has that been
200
verified?
mil, 200 mil doesn't bother me. That's 20
Well,
mil a year.
But
that's
but that's
a lot.
for one good year after a couple years of crap.
Okay, I'm willing to take
I'm
that risk.
just I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
I know, and I'm willing to take that risk. The dude claims he was injured and goes, "Hey, Dodgers are trying to have me play through injury. I did, and we all saw the injury when he went to try and after the home run in Texas in 2020, he messed up his shoulder. We all saw the injury there, and the Dodgers had him try to play through it. He couldn't play through it. He didn't play well, and just never really got fully healthy. Goes to
Mhm.
the Cubs on a 1 year deal, fully healthy and plays really well. So I don't I don't understand why more teams aren't in on this. Dude is young, athletic, can play multiple positions, can play the middle of the diamond, can play center field, can play first, can play both corners of the outfield if you need him to, and plus he can hit the middle of the order. Left-handed bat. I just think it makes a whole lot of sense. And there's no more shift. Like he's getting a couple extra hits every year because the shift is basically gone. Not not 100% gone, but partially
Yeah.
gone. So I'm in on Cody Bellinger. I think he makes this lineup a lot better. I think he makes so much sense for the Angels, especially if Nolan Schanuel. Like, why are we here saying that Nolan Schanuel is automatically a starting first base? What happens if he's hitting 170 after the first 2 months of the year? Are we just gonna ride that out?
I think when you're talking about Bellinger, he's more valuable in the outfield. So
Oh, he
you
is
you
absolutely.
want to talk. You probably talk like, hey, Drury's a first. Sure,
That's
Drury's playing
fine.
first base or somebody
But
like that.
but I'm just
So
saying, like,
I
it,
know.
it opens
Get
up
it.
so many more options for you just having him on the roster, because now it allows Drury to go play first base. Now it allows Bellinger
Mhm.
could play first base on a couple days if he needs to. He could play center field if Trout needs a day to just kind of DH. He could play left. He could play right. I would prefer him to play center the entire time. But there's just so much versatility with him. He's young. He's athletic. That he just makes so much sense for this team.
I'm going with Yamamoto, and I think the only reason why the Angels aren't being talked about Yamamoto is the lack of effort on the Angels' part. I don't really, and that's perceived, by the way. We never know what the Angels are doing until they do it a lot of times, and that's sometimes really good, and sometimes really frustrating because it really kind of makes you think, what's going on with this club. They've needed a frontline starter for years outside of Otani. They've needed somebody to be dominant in front, and this is what Yamamoto has a potential of being. So at 25 years old, top of his game, the belief is he's everything that he's being said he is. And so go in there, go get the guy and make it happen. But if I just want to say that if that doesn't happen, I agree actually with Nate that if he's that far out there where you can't get him, yeah, go get Bellinger. I think Bellinger wants to be in SoCal. That's so go get him. He fits he fits in a lot of places.
You guys selling me on Bellinger for sure. Um,
That's my
the
job.
the goal the goal's Yamamoto when I look at this list.
Of
Obviously,
course.
I, it's hard to to say that the Angels are really in on him. Though Derek brings up good point. I'm not in on Blake Snell at all. I'd prefer the Angels. If the Angels are pushing for starters, just go and get somebody else besides Blake Snell. Just spread that around the rotation or do whatever because I'm not in on Blake Snell.
Well, hold on,
Um,
stop. Explain why, because we're seeing a lot of social media push both for and against Snell. Let's
yeah.
explain the perspective as to why it's not the world's best idea.
I think Blake Snell is going to cost too much for what he's worth. This is a very similar, and now what I'm going to compare it to is not fair, but to the Trevor Bauer 2020 year, where Trevor Bauer had a really good, 2020 season, which was
Mhm.
60 games long. You look at Blake Snell, he's been been good in his career. Yes, he won the Cy Young last year. But he's just such an inconsistent pitcher. You don't know what you're going to get from him year in year out. I know Nate's looking up stats right now. He
Well,
thrown
I
very
already
many
know the
innings? Yeah.
stats, but I'm looking them up just to make sure.
Has he thrown my question would be how many times has he thrown over 150 innings in his career?
That
The
would be
Angels.
the 2 times he won Cy Young.
Okay, so when he throws over 150 innings in his career, he's one of the best pitchers in the game. When he doesn't, that's the issue there. Um, I'm I'm not against it. I'd prefer that the Angels don't do it though. Let's go with that. I'm just not in on Blake Snell. I think that he's old. He's older. He's only going to be getting older. Obviously, as the years progress, I think he's going to ask for 6, 7, 8 years, which puts him at if he's 31, I believe this.
31, yeah.
If he's 31, that puts him at 37, 38. The Angels get 2 good years of him, and he's going to be asking for, I would assume, very similar to what
30.
he's going to be asking for 25 to 30 a year because he's coming off winning a Cy Young. It's just a lot for an aging left-handed pitcher. And he's going to lose velo. He's going to lose a little touch on everything. And that's just not what I think the Angels need to build around right now.
Well, I'm going to follow up what you're saying because, you know, all three of us played fantasy baseball this last year and I actually became very much an admitted addict. In doing so, I was following all the podcasts and all the metrics and everything. And the one thing that was very consistent with Blake Snell was um, two things happen. One, he always starts off early. He starts off awful, like his first 2 months of the year before he sells them. But two, if you look at his metrics don't make sense for how he is in the mound. What I mean is the deeper numbers don't. He shouldn't be as good as he is. Let's say this. And at 31 years old, you probably got 2 or 3 more good years out of him. But the moment with the metrics behind it, the moment that something slips, he loses velocity on the fastball, he loses on his breaking ball, all that stuff that's hidden in the background on him comes to the surface. And have we not seen this already? We saw this with, we had an Albert Pujols who was showing signs of issues his last year in St. Louis, and they signed him, and we get what we got. We never got the prime Pujols. And now, unfortunately, we're starting to see some of those same things that I'm like Trout. So do we really want to attach, do we want to see the team attach themselves to another long-term contract like this when you can go out there and get someone who's 25 years old? We can try anyways, get them. I would much rather they even suck it up, go with younger arms and wait to get back in it next year than go below $300 million on Blake Snell or $200 million.
Yeah, and also, I mean, you bring up a good point. Like Blake Snell's going to be probably a good pitcher for the next 3-4 years. I truly believe the Angels' window then like is basically when Snell is getting older, and that just hurts to build around the core that the Angels have. So yeah, no, I'm not in.
And
Nate, I know you got stats. Go ahead. Throw 'em at
well,
me.
yeah, well, and if you go based on the mean of what Blake Snell actually is, like career year last year, right? Like he had a batting average against of 181. He's closer to a 220 guy. So that's 40-point difference.
Mm-hmm.
He also walked 99 guys last year. How do you walk 99 guys and have a 2.25 ERA? Like that's a lot of traffic on the bases and a lot of guys getting outs with first and second bases loaded, a lot of those kind of things, which my comp for him is Dylan Cease. If you look at Dylan Cease's Cy Young year in 2022, almost identical, not as many walks, but you look at him 190 average against, he walked 78 guys. He also struck out a lot of guys, had his career year. 184 innings, which is right about where Snell threw, and he had 2.2 ERA. Snell had 2.25. This year, Cease's numbers went closer to what he actually is, and he was batting average against was 250, which is probably a little high. He's probably a little bit closer to the 225, 230 range. He's still walked the same amount of guys, and his ERA went all the way up from 2.2 to 4.58. So I think if you look at the numbers, Snell is more likely to have a rough year next year than to have a good year, just based on the numbers and what he's shown, because the odds on his batting average being low again and his walks being up and his runs allowed being down, it's just not a good combo. Those things don't typically go together very often.
That's part of the underlying metrics I was referring to. That doesn't line up with what. So you're bringing that right to the surface. Now, one thing to think about with him is a lot of those walks came in that first 2.5 months of the season. But that's probably the most critical part. Can the Angels get off to a good start with him behind them on the mound? When he's wild those first 2 months before he settles in for the season, he does this every year. It's like clockwork with Snell. He's hot garbage for the first part of the season, then fixes it. Can you really wait for that? I don't think you
No.
can.
Well, here's one other thing before we move on here. One other thing with Blake Snell, and you brought it up with the Cody Bellinger thing. There is no shift anymore. You cannot, you don't get to help your, and I air quote, help your pitchers out anymore with the shift. And the Angels, as we know, have traditionally not done a very good job. And I brought this up when they banned the shift, is that this is going to hurt the Angels a lot in the scouting department on where to play guys. Now, Angels are bringing in Ron Washington, an absolute defensive guru, so that might change a little bit. However, when it comes to the scouting department, that's the thing that worries me. And I mean, even talking about bringing a guy like Dylan Cease, trading for Dylan Cease, or signing, Blake Snell like this, those guys who tend to get hit a lot or are luckier pitchers like that.
Tyler Anderson.
Like we saw last year. Tyler Anderson, another good example, which be
Mhm.
interesting to see if Tyler Anderson improves a little bit with Ron Washington's better defense behind him a little bit more. But yeah, those are the kind of the things that worry me when you bring guys like that to the Angels, especially wanting that amount of money. Like I said, everything points to a red flag for me. If there was a trend to not keep for Artie to continue to not pay on pitching, it would hopefully be on this guy for me, in my opinion. Now I almost lean towards the C answer a little bit. I agree on Bellinger. I agree on Yamamoto. Those are easy answers. Now I look a little bit at that C answer. You can, yes, you bring in another left-handed pitcher. It gives you the opportunity to trade away one of those left-handed pitchers as well if you want to maybe get, a little bit younger and in the Imanaga side of
Repeat
things.
those options again. Repeat the options for C.
It was Imanaga and Teoscar Hernandez.
Teoscar Hernandez, who you get a middle of the order bat who can play the outfield. Yes, DH a little bit. You can trade away maybe one of your outfielders in Taylor Ward if you wanted
He's
to.
33, is he not?
Who? Imanaga?
Teoscar Hernandez.
Teoscar? Yeah, you do get. I was meaning more. You get a little bit. You can get a little bit younger on the pitching side of things with Imanaga, who's a little bit younger, but
30.
So
30?
little bit younger.
I thought he was 33.
No, Imanaga's 30.
So
Magic.
Teoscar. I mean, I like the bat with Teoscar. I'm not sold on it. It's an interesting option in C, and then D for me is a perfect offseason for the Angels if you get Bellinger or if you get Yamamoto, or D, that is. If you're able to sign Bellinger and then you go and get JD, Jordan Hicks, and Tim Anderson, it's like, wow, like the Angels had a pretty good offseason. The Angels might be looking at contending this next year.
I don't even think you need JD if you get Bellinger.
No, I'm not fully in on on JD because of the DH aspect, and I think you need to keep that position open with how injury prone the Angels have gotten and giving guys days off and things like that. So, but I think if you combine D with one of the answers above, you're having a pretty damn good offseason. But again, that's a perfect offseason. Like the Angels aren't going to have a perfect offseason.
Perfect offseason. That's an interesting thing to say given what we just saw in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yep. No, I'm in full agreement. So I don't know if you guys have anything else to say on this question, or maybe want to add any other players in that you'd like the Angels to sign.
So let me ask a question just overall. Those are some of the possibilities you're mentioning. What do you think is really going to happen here? What do you think? I don't think the Angels just sit back and do nothing. My gosh, with the fan base, jump off a cliff if they did that. What are they going to do?
The quieter, the better. I think at the moment. I think that, I mean, we've been saying this all off season. I was expecting, and I didn't think Ohtani was gonna stall things out this badly, but the way that Perry has worked in the past, or earlier the better. And we've had podcasts very early in the off seasons that are talking about signing certain players and things like that. So Ohtani definitely hurt that. I'm surprised that we haven't really started heating up. Not we, but the market hasn't heated up a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
They could be waiting on Yamamoto a little bit. I know there's some big teams in on him. Probably a third of the league's in on Yamamoto. We don't know about Bellinger. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of open spots for him. Snell,
There's
we
not
might
a lot
be
of
waiting.
teams, it feels like, with Bellinger.
Yeah, Snell, we might be waiting on a little bit, but I mean, for the most part, those big names, you're not really waiting on a lot of those big names. So what the Angels are going to do, Artie's going to want to make some type of splash, right? So I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they went and randomly signed a big bat in Cody Bellinger. I don't think they signed Snell. But I mean, if you're going Bellinger, and they've been linked to Stroman. I mean, we're going to talk about this here in a little bit, but they've been linked to Stroman here a little bit in the past. I like that, bringing in a righty who's been to the postseason and knows how to pitch in big games. I'm all for that. I think they're going to add a pitcher, and I think they're going to add some more bullpen pieces. Obviously, they definitely need to add one more bat. So I fully expect them to add four. I expect them to add four players like that equal $80 million. So however you want to sprinkle that around, you go ahead and do that. If that's, paying Bellinger $30 million a year, whatever you think he's going to get, plus
25 max.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you think he's going to get.
How much max?
25 max, I think.
25 a year.
I think 250 is the highest he gets.
10 for 25 a year. I mean, it's not a horrible deal. You're saving a lot of money by not bringing back Shohei Ohtani. You technically have a pick to give up if you really want to go sign one of those big names. You get the Shohei Ohtani pick in the second round anyways. I'd prefer them not go and sign one of those guys who got the qualifying offer. But yeah, I expect them to be very, very active fairly soon. I mean, it sounds like it's heating up a little bit as we're sitting here. So.
I think the first. Well, which is the first shoe to drop? You think it'll be? I'm thinking it's Snell.
Yeah, Snell makes sense. I mean, the reports coming out about Yamamoto recently saying that he's going to wait till after New Year, which doesn't surprise me. You start not a lot will happen here in the next 2 weeks, until after New Year, and then you'll start seeing it pick up again. So I think I think actually it ends up being Yamamoto. Just looking at the time, unless we start getting something here within the next week or in the next like couple days before Christmas here, I it might be Yamamoto that actually breaks the seal.
Should be traditionally, usually is the top guy. He's the one who breaks it. But we thought that with Otani and didn't happen.
And it heated up a little bit. You saw some pieces fall. It wasn't the big pieces that
Some
you like, but you saw some.
some middling guys, but
Yeah,
nothing that was like, oh my gosh, oh, the world just changed.
yeah. No, it'll be interesting. I think it's Yamamoto though after the new year. To be honest, I think again we start seeing it slow down here in the next
Nate, what
two
about you?
weeks.
I think Blake Snell's the guy to sign first. I think he signs with the Giants. That's my prediction because the Giants know they're out on Yamamoto. They just kind
Ooh.
of go the other way and say, you know what, we can't get him, so we're going to get at our guy, fit our ballpark, things like that. If I'm the Angels, perfect offseason, different than what I think is going to happen. I see them getting, I see them making a splash because already needs to make a splash. I truly think it's Cody Bellinger. I don't think there are many teams, and that's not just because I want Cody Bellinger. That's because I don't see many teams fit Cody Bellinger, and I know Scott Boras knows how to get his money, and so he's going to do his job and get his money for his client. So I think the Angels are the team that's going to be the guys who are going to end up with Bellinger.
Mhm.
I see them signing like a Mike Clevenger, and I know that's not an exciting name, and people are going to be like, "Are you kidding me?" This is not what I want to happen. This is what I think is going to happen because this is a very Angels move. Clevenger coming off his injuries, things like that. Hey, maybe we give him a 1 year, $7.5 to $10 million. Hey, maybe he pitches really well. If he pitches well, we'll be good. If he doesn't, well, we can trade him at the deadline. Just the typical Angels move, and then going to get some random reliever where it's like, okay, makes sense. Does it really make sense? No, but I think they'll go get one more reliever. Um, could be a Brad Hand type of guy. Could be uh, a Matt Barnes type of someone like that where it's like, doesn't really move the needle, but it's another arm. And I think that's probably where their offseason will end.
We'll see. I guess we'll see where it goes from there. So, just want to dive into some Angels news because we do have a little bit of Angels news.
Yay.
They make two minor league signings. One coming from a Christian Young minor league deal. Probably not a lot of people know him. He's going to sit low to mid nines, little slider on that side on the pitching front. Played his last 3 years in indie ball. Kind of a fun story. This will be his first attempt at minor league pro ball. He played indie ball, so he played pro ball. But first stint in pro baseball. So it'll be cool to see that story. And then the Angels also signed Tayron Guerrero, former top prospect with quite a few different teams. Miami comes to mind. I think he came up with
Chicago,
Chicago. Yeah.
San Diego.
Yeah, quite a few teams there. Has bounced around for sure. Last was in the Mexican League, but known for the high velocity fastball, kicks it up to 100, 200, 304 miles an hour. So getting a little bit older though. I think he's 33 now, so we'll see if the velo sticks around. But regardless, if he's still upper nines, not a bad guy to look at if you think you can find the zone with him. That's always the biggest thing. Derek, I know you asked this in the last podcast. Why these guys don't sign? It's going to be finding the strike zone with Tayron Guerrero on this side of stuff. So let's get on to the rumor mill, like we mentioned before. Robert Murray, fan side, came out on a podcast last night. Credible source, Robert Murray is saying the Angels have spoken with Marcus Stroman today. The John Morosi came out and said the Angels have also spoken with Blake Snell's camp on that side of front and are very aggressive on the starting pitching front. I want to hear your guys' thought on this. I know we just talked about Blake Snell, but we can dive into the Marcus Stroman side of stuff, or if there's any other pitchers that we think Angels might push after. So, Nate, I'll start with you. How do you feel about Marcus Stroman? I know again, kind of broken down a little bit, but
Yeah, I actually don't mind the signing. I think if the Angels can get him, I think he makes a lot of sense. Not a true ace. Again, if he started game one in a postseason, the Angels are probably underdogs in 12 of those 15 games. If some of those teams miraculously made the playoffs like the A's, that would probably be one of the teams that they'd be favored against. But he's a postseason guy. He's been there. He's done that. He's pitched in some big games. He throws the ball well. Like competitive guy. I don't think he would take a lot of money. Like that's the one thing. I don't think he's sitting there asking for 20 million. I think it's in that 15 million range. I saw a number where it was 3 for 33, and I was like, if it's 3 for 33 or 4 for 44, heck, I'm running to the bank getting 44 right now and saying let's do it, because 11 mil a year is a steal for him. That is Tyler Anderson money for a guy 10 times better than Tyler Anderson. So I think he makes a lot of sense. He brings that bulldog mentality to the rotation, which the Angels have always been looking for, a dude to just kind of be like, hey, I don't care. I'm just going to go out and do my job, instead of, the crybaby this and crybaby that they've had on the mound lately. So I think he makes a lot of sense. And I think he's been a real pro ever since leaving New York. I think that was kind of the big question mark with him a couple years ago. Was he going to be able to be a professional? And I think we've seen him grow up and do things the right way the last couple of years. So I'd be willing to take the chance on him.
One cool thing you mentioned when it comes to Stroman, he reminds me a lot of like the Michael Lorenzen, the Noah Syndergaard type of signing, where he leads his staff. The Angels are still a very young staff, and need that type of experience on board. He makes them deeper, and I think that, I mean, if you would line up a good Patrick Sandoval, what's up, Derek?
No, you stole my point.
Did I?
That's
Oh, I'm
actually that's
sorry.
exactly where I was
Damn it.
going.
I'm
'Cause-
sorry.
Because that's exactly what he did in Chicago. He made that Chicago staff so
Yeah.
much better. He led that staff there.
Steele
And that's
gets
the number
better
one.
because of him, and all
Yeah.
the young guys just were able to take that next step forward because he was able to just be like, hey, this is what it's like to be a pro. He didn't have any antics in Chicago. Like that was kind of the one thing that I was looking for out of Stroman. Could he keep the antics out of what he does? Like almost like the Tim Anderson thing, where it's like, hey, if he can come here and not cause fights, then like we're great. And I think that was something he was able to do in Chicago during his couple of years there, was just be able to keep a low profile and still be competitive without getting to that place where it's like, hey, I need to start a fight every time I disagree with someone.
I think what happened with Stroman that wasn't just a New York thing. He was fine in Toronto. He had a very good
He had some
reputation
fires,
there.
but not as much.
Nothing major. Everybody has their moments, especially when they're younger. But I mean, New York is a whole different issue. I mean, a lot of people go to New York and get problems there because it's New York. But we saw right away Chicago and what Chicago he did there. I mean, like he completely settled that staff down. So we talk about you brought Lorenzen, you guys brought those guys, and I'm agreeing too much with Nate today, but he nailed it. Like there's a difference between what Anderson did here and what Stroman did in Chicago. And Anderson didn't bring that leadership. He didn't really bring anything to the table.
He's never
He just
been that
was
guy.
awful. Okay. But you know who was a guy there? Stroman, who stepped in there, and he's pretty much always been that guy. Never been a top line ace, but always a solid 2 or 3. That's what he was in Toronto. He deserved more than what he got there. And there was talk 5 years ago of the Angels going after Stroman. Should have done it 5 years ago. He'd probably still be here.
I'm in full agreement. I really like Marcus Stroman. Another name that comes that I like, that I coming off some injuries, is Frankie Montas. I wouldn't mind. I mean, just mentioned the name, guy like Michael Lorenzen, bring him back. Like you make instead of making the rotation top heavy, you need to get deeper, especially since you're going to a 5-man rotation. Not very many of these guys. In fact, I'd guess probably none of these guys have thrown over 160 innings in their career. That's on this rotation right now. You need to get some depth out of some of these guys, and because you're going to a 5-man rotation, I think a lot of people are forgetting that the Angels need to get deeper. I wouldn't mind seeing a guy like Alex Wood, if you don't mind going very lefty heavy in the rotation. That's a good name. And then same thing with a guy like James Paxton, veteran leader, has pitched in big games before. Like I said, I'm all for that. I know it's a lefty. I know it's a lefty. Yeah, you got to get deeper on the starting pitching front.
Anderson has a bone to pick with you about the 150 innings. He's done it 3 times, by the way. 3 times.
All right. If you set
Yeah.
expectations with Tyler Anderson as being the 5 guy and he's pitching 150,
I'm just saying,
I'm
there's
okay
somebody in the rotation who's done it, but
yeah, that's fine.
I think what you're trying to say, and you're saying it in a different way, the Angels need to go out and get 2 guys on minor league deals that have starting pitching experience, because it is very hard to count on guys to throw every 5th day that have not done it probably in their entire career. And there could be a time where it's like, hey, you know what? Like, Detmers is a little tired. Silseth is a little tired. We just got to throw him on the 15-day IL, let him miss a couple starts. Let's call up Zach Plesac. Let's call up Eric Lauer. Somebody like that who's willing to take a minor league deal for a team and say, hey, come in, show us you can compete, and be the first guy up when we need a guy, because we have been turning to guys that you have never heard of all the time. Whenever there's an injury, it's like, oh, let's just go to this guy. Well, he's pitched in the big 6 years ago for Miami when they won 36 games. Okay, yeah, let's go to him. Oh, how about we go to this top prospect who's 28 years old and hasn't done anything ever? Yeah, let's go to him. Like, we need to go to a guy who's been established big leaguer. Like, that's what they need. So yes, they need to get a Marcus Stroman or somebody in this rotation, but they also need to get depth in AAA with a guy, probably 2, who has actually pitched in the big leagues. None of this. Well, he made 1 start in his career 7 years ago for insert bad team here.
They have Jose Suarez. So
yeah, there you go. That's what I'm talking about. That is not depth. That is trash.
I just threw up in my mouth.
That is what I'm talking about.
Oh.
And Suarez has no option, so you're kind of screwed.
Well, I mean, if he's that bad, you can let him go and sign him on a minor league contract.
No.
Pitch in AAA. And then
Eric Lauer. Eric Lauer is a Hall of Famer if you put him next to Jose Suarez.
All right. Final thoughts.
Zach Plesac is a Hall of Famer if you put him next to Jose
you're
Suarez.
losing.
There will be plenty of guys like that out there to dip around in. I mean, there are, but at the root of it, you'll get someone at the top of the rotation. A lot of those problems will dissipate because someone's moving down. Your 1 right now is who? Detmers probably. Is he your 1? Well, now becomes your 2.
Sandoval.
Either way, it's ugly. So it'll if you go get that top guy we've been talking about, it starts to sort itself out some.
The problem is with the moving guys down, the guys that you would move down are guys that have to be on the big league roster. Like Tyler Anderson, like, you can't move him out, right? You would like to move him out. You can move him to the bullpen, but he's still got to be on the big league roster. Like, the guy who would get bumped is Chase Silseth, and that's the guy who needs to be in this rotation.
And
because that kid is arguably one of the best 3 pitchers on our staff right now. Canning would be a guy that could get bumped out, and it's like, I don't think he accepts an assignment. If he gets sent down, he's gonna cry about it. He's not gonna want to be here. You need someone who understands their role as, like, hey, I don't have other teams that want me in their rotation, but I know I can possibly pitch here, instead of like trying to push a guy out, because you can't move Detmers out. You can't move Silseth out. Sandoval, you can't move out. You're moving either Anderson or Canning out of the rotation. You're not moving Anderson off the team. So now you're looking at Canning, and it's like, I don't even know we can send him down. You would have to check that. I think he's out of options as well. So they're kind of in this rare spot where it's like, yes, they have bad pitching at the bottom of the rotation, but they can't get rid of it unless they're willing to eat some money or just let a guy go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with it. I'm trying to look that up. I'm trying to look that up for you, but I don't think I'm going to be able to. Keep an eye on Sam Bachman in the rotation. I think he's going to get all the chances in the world to start. And I know you're going to shake your head and be like, he's a reliever. I think he's going to get all the chances in the reliever. I think he's going to get all the chances in the world to be a starter. I don't think the Angels, we haven't talked about it. I don't think the Angels look at that starting pitching front or at the trade market. I just don't think they have enough to go get a frontline starter without giving up something that they need to attempt to compete here this year. I don't think they give up a Neto. I don't think they give up an Ohapi, Shanwell, somebody like that. Now, if the Angels are competing come July, who knows? But I think at the moment, I can't see them going and giving away any of those guys for Shane Bieber, Dylan Cease, somebody like that, especially for what
I don't want any of those guys.
No, well, especially for what the Rays gave up in
Yeah.
the or got back, should I say, in the Glass trade. The Angels don't have a Ryan Pepiot. Like that's Zach Neto. You've been giving up Zach Neto in the deal, to be honest, when you look at value. So that's that can't happen. There's no way the Angels are, I mean, unless you're giving up 10 pieces, but I don't think the Rays are going to take the Angels top 10 farm pieces, for Tyler Glass now. So you never know. Derek, you got any final thoughts before we let everybody go? Nate, I already let you talk, so you're done. You're in timeout.
No, I right now go get your guy.
Yep.
And we'll keep saying that. They probably won't, but go get that guy. Go get the big dog. Get him in there. I mean, go hard to Yamamoto. That's my big goal. It's been my big goal. You need the top of the line guy. We've been saying that for years, and so I want to see it.
Yep. So from all of us here at Talking Halos, we want to thank you so much for watching and listening to this podcast here at Talking Halos. You can go ahead and follow us on all our social medias, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You can follow myself on Twitter, Jared_Tims, Nate at NateGreen34, Derek at DC Ciapola. Guys, thank you so much for listening and watching. Have a great rest of your day.